And we are live, Newsday Tuesday. Len, my friend, how you doing?
I am doing great. How are you, Rome?
Doing good. Steady working.
Woo, this is a little bit of a different setup here than we're used to. Full disclosure, NBC Connecticut is redesigning one of its podcast studios. And so we'll see what they come up with next. Right now, I am verboten, not allowed to be in any studios that are being worked on or whatever. I guess I'm a troublemaker. But in all truth, no one's allowed in there. But right now, I'm joining you from the cozy confines of what is known as the Red Fox. It's a red 2002 Toyota 4Runner. Currently has 307,000 miles on it. I've had it since about 120. It is our vehicle that we use for our continuing investigative series called Reckless on Our Roads, um, where we've got a dash camera in here. Here, I might be able to turn it. Nah. You all know what a dash camera is. But I got a dash camera in here, and we've been rolling on traffic for 2.5 years now. And we haven't done any posts lately, but we're going to have some coming up. There's always doozies. I mean, there's never a shortage. Also in this vehicle, it doesn't really look like much, and that's sort of the point. We don't want anyone really, thinking it's a news vehicle, but I have multiple police scanners in here as well. Always trying to, keep an ear on what's going on. You may hear it pop into the newscast here that we're doing occasionally. So yes, so welcome from the Red Fox. That's where we are today. I'm heading into work, coming in a little late because of our first story. It's election day.
Big day.
I voted. I voted on my way in. Uh, Big municipal election day. I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, New Britain's going to get a new mayor. Bristol has a race today where the former mayor is going against the current mayor. I believe Torrington has a mayoral election today. And certainly there are many, Stanford as well, although I think the person who's the mayor there may be going unopposed or I think is highly favored. But those races I told you about, Torrington and Bristol, um, those are going to be competitive, possibly, from what I'm hearing. Those are towns that a lot of times, and New Britain, excuse me, where, sometimes it's a D, sometimes it's an R. We'll see. Other big election news, it's not election news per se, but I don't know if you heard former Vice President Dick Cheney died this morning. He was
Yeah, I seen
84
that.
years old. Yeah, he was President Bush's um, George George W. Bush, not Herbert Walker. George W. Bush the second was his vice president for 8 years. Um, Interesting political figure. Uh, I'm not going to get too deeply into that, but I'll tell you a personal story. So I never met Dick Cheney, but when I was a reporter in Raleigh, North Carolina, um, I got sent all over the state to do stories. And it just so happened, I think it was in 2002, toward the end of my tenure down at WRAL TV. Um, I was sent to cover a presidential visit to Fort Bragg in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Normally, that would be done by our Fayetteville bureau reporter. When I was there, they have a bureau in Fayetteville. It's about an hour from Raleigh. But he was off that day, or she was off, excuse me, she was off that day. Melissa Busher. And was her name? Is her name. And so I got sent to this thing, and it was so cool. It was a demonstration of special forces for President Bush. And so we went to this makeshift village that was like Mogadishu in Somalia. If you remember, there was a big military action there. I think it was during the Clinton administration. Anyway, So they put all the observers up in this makeshift village on rooftops. And I was on the one for the media. And then the next rooftop over was George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and Condoleezza Rice, who was the national security advisor. And, later in the day, I did, I was in the press gaggle asking President Bush questions. He actually recognized me, which is funny. Another funny story. I interviewed him when he was running for president in 1999, and he came through Raleigh for a stop. And, that was funny as heck, because he had just gotten off a plane. His hair was all crazy. And, it was like the way they did it then, like we met, he got off his private jet or whatever, something. He gets off the jet, meets us at the Marriott downtown, close to the airport in Raleigh. And he just comes in the room with his aides. He's governor of Texas at this time, or former governor, I can't remember. And, his hair is all crazy. He's like, I just need a minute. And, he was real cool. I mean, what they say about George W. Bush, we're going way off topic here, but he is a regular guy. Whatever you think of his politics, but he is the kind of guy you definitely could have a beer with. And so he comes out of the bathroom. The guy just got off a plane. And I'm like, do you want to sit for a second and just take a break? And he's like, yeah. And he's the former owner of the Texas Rangers baseball team. And I'm a huge baseball fan. So, and I know we'll get to our favorite things at the end of the newscast. We sort of just went straight into the news today. Sorry, Ro. But I was giving him major crap about trading Sammy Sosa, who, ended up hitting over 600 home runs. He traded him for just some lame pitcher or something. And, we were having a good time just shooting the bull, chewing the fat. And then we did the interview. And here's the funny part. So it all comes back to the Dick Cheney story I was telling you at Fort Bragg, because, so I did that interview with George W. Bush in 1999. He comes, and he made several visits to Fort Bragg during his presidency. And again, I think this was around 2002. And when we did the news conference after the demonstration of the special ops, which was so cool, we're standing up on these rooftops. And they had, and this is 2002, I'm sure it's much more whiz-bang now, but they had this helicopter called a Little Bird that would just drop down in the middle of a street, like a real narrow alley, and pick up, the officers or the military people who were hurt or needed, to get pulled out of a dangerous situation. We're watching the whole thing. So cool. And then, there's a debrief after, and President Bush is, entertaining questions from the reporters, points at me. Like, he remembered me from that interview in 1999 when I was just like, hey, man, let's just chill and talk about baseball for a minute. So what a cool story. And again, no matter what you think of George W. Bush or Dick Cheney, he passed today, and I'm just telling you that story. Just a little interesting interaction. So election day, Dick Cheney passed. I would say other big news today. There actually is some big news. NBC Connecticut Investigates and our daily team are doing a lot of coverage of the death of Jacqueline Torres Garcia, known as Mimi, in New Britain and Farmington. And today we've learned that one of the three people charged in connection with her death, not for her death, but charged in connection, at least, Jonathan Nanita, he has been brought to court today. He's facing some other charges. And that's sort of the daily news on this. The bigger thing I want to tell you, Rome, is that this case is going to be going for a while. There are a ton of investigations here, not only of just what happened to this little girl, but also how were so many flags missed? I think it's the question that everybody has. I don't know, and I'm not going to promise you that we're going to get an answer to that. But everybody's going to dig, and I can promise you we're going to know a lot more than we know right now on that story. It is definitely one on a number of different levels that there are questions, whether you're talking about the DCF, whether you're talking about juvenile courts, whether you're talking about police, whether you're talking about the school system, and. So wait and see on that one, and just say a prayer for that little girl, because what happened to her shouldn't happen to anybody. I
Very
don't
sad
want to
story.
leave the news like, yeah, it is, and I got to tell you, man, it was really tough, and is really tough reading through those arrest warrants, and have some respect for the reporters covering this story. More importantly than that, have some respect for all the police and child welfare people who may have had nothing to do with this, but are now trying to look into this and break down what did happen, because they have to go through all these absolutely horrible nitty-gritty details that I'm not going to share with you right now. I think to turn this around, what do you think we do the fun stuff that we normally do at the top?
Yeah.
All
So,
right, I'm going to let you lead off.
so my food dish of the week, I gotta go with a nice salad. Sticking to the healthy, the greens. My sports team of the week, I got two. And I recently found out Thomas Joseph. He's from New Britain. And he was the former coach to the New York Knicks. And
That's
he he also was a coach to Harvard, Minnesota Timberwolves, the Spurs, the Sixers, and the Houston Rockets. And then one more, I got George Springer, another New Britain native. You probably heard of this. He just got to the Blue Jays.
Yeah, that was one heck of a World Series.
Oh yeah.
Who are you rooting for in that?
I'm gonna go with the Blue Jays.
I did too. That one hurt. That one hurt. They were so close, and
Almost.
just didn't get it. All right, so on my end, food. I had meatloaf last night, so I'm dropping that one down.
That's a good one.
I mean, I don't know, you probably can't see it in my truck, but it's windy as heck out today. It's a chilly day, and meatloaf, that was some comfort food. Did the body good. Sports,
Do you put ketchup on it?
not last night. Normally I
Oh.
do. So normally Mrs. B makes a heck of a meatloaf, and she puts barbecue sauce. Everybody's got their secrets, and we've talked
Mhm.
about this. She puts the breadcrumbs and she puts barbecue sauce in it. This, we do those box meals now, so we'll get like 3 for the week, then do them at different points during the week. So this is one that came out of there. It had onions, it had green peppers on it. It was really good. She didn't like it. I loved it, but yes, normally I'm a ketchup guy with my meatloaf. You?
Yeah, I gotta try the barbecue one. That sounds good.
Yeah. The other thing, it was one of the few things that my father-in-law, when he was alive, would make the meatloaf. And the other thing he would put in there would be mustard. When you're
Mm.
mashing up the whole thing, just a little,
Yeah,
and it was righteous. So, sports player of the week. I'm also going to go with a Blue Jay. I'm going to go with Alejandro Kirk, the catcher, the most hard to believe athlete in the group. If you've seen him, he's about 5'8" and weighs 230. I mean, he's a pudgy catcher, which you'd expect from a catcher, although I was a catcher in baseball and I'm skinny as a rail. But Alejandro Kirk, 26 years old, on my fantasy team. So, of course, that's a little special for me. But I picked him up this year. I said, this guy's got talent. He had 280 this year, 15 homers, like 70, 80 ribs, RBI, for those who don't, runs batted. And he did great in the playoffs. Like a lot of players you'll see, they'll be really good during the regular season, then they'll stink in the playoffs. Like George Springer, he was really bad for like 2 or 3 seasons. And then this year he came around and did a lot better. And then, yes, he
yeah,
came through in the playoffs even though he was hurt. And that's some true grit. And Connecticut guy, yeah.
yeah.
So, very cool. And then, what was TV show? Did we even do that?
Oh, I missed that one.
I mean, I got to tell you, for me, it's football, and it's the the weekly series of the Giants and Jackson Dart. That's all I'm watching is football these days, and it's been rough, but I am hopeful. I think we have our quarterback of the future. That's where I'll end it, with hopeful news.
Oh yeah. As always, definitely appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, good talking with you. I'm going to go on the news chase.
All right. See you next week.
All right. See you, Rome. Take care, man.
All right.
Good
Take
seeing you.
care. Yes, sir. Another news updates episode with my friend Len Besthoff from NBC Connecticut. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the Spotify, the Rome Show podcast, and catch all full news updates with me and my friend Len Besthoff from NBC Connecticut. Full news updates on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, on all podcast platforms. It's your boy Go Rome TV, and I'm out. Peace.